Welcome to another episode of the Boxing Lockdown, powered by SA Boxing Talk. Good evening, gentlemen, Hayden and Cyril. Tonight we are talking about what everyone's talking about, the comeback of a 53-year-old former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson. Now, there's been a lot of speculation. There's been a lot of social media stuff. There's been a lot of articles. And there have been a lot of former Tyson fighters, opponents who've either beaten him or lost to him, coming out of the woodwork saying they're available. They want to fight. Shannon Briggs as well. Let's Go Champ wants to fight Tyson. There was even fake news about a bare knuckle fight in that sporting code that they were going to fight. I mean, for me, my honest opinion is it's ridiculous. Is Tyson ferocious still? Can he still punch? Absolutely. For the age of 50, at the age of 53, of course he can. Can he be a factor? Should he decide to box again? My opinion simply this. I think he'll be good for the first round, maybe half a round, and then that's it. Hayden, let me start with you. Good evening. I like the trim. Looking nice, slick Rick in the house. Your opinion of Tyson coming back?
Well, I'm of the opinion that he shouldn't come back. I mean, I think that it would be crazy for any sort of sanctioning committee to actually afford him a license. I think, especially at the age of 53, you can take some serious damage in there. Let's be honest, because I've seen Evander Holyfield warming up on the pads. He's still looking like he hasn't lost a step. Mike Tyson, to be fair to him, doesn't look like he's lost a step either. So these guys can still bang.
So, we talk about him getting licensed. He's a big marijuana dope smoker as well. I mean, it's well publicized. If you were a commission member, would you license him?
Look, you just have to look at it this way. I think it was 15 years ago when he had his last fight, and he quit on his stool, and I guess a journeyman fighter, he wasn't in it. And now you want to tell me in this day, today, 2020, he can perform? Absolutely not. So, I like the idea when he first came up with it. He said he wants to train, have exhibition fights for charity. That was okay. But to go full on, I wouldn't sanction. I wouldn't allow him to get a license. I just think
it's interesting. It's interesting you say that, because obviously the height of his power was probably 88 when he fought Michael Spinks and knocked him out in one round. That was probably Mike Tyson at his prime. And then obviously there were two Mike Tysons, the one before jail and the one after. And the one after really lacked the desire and the mental attitude to actually be in the ring. We saw that, Hayden, when he fought a rematch with Evander Holyfield. It was obviously a documentary on SuperSport, Chasing Tyson for Holyfield, when Holyfield stopped him in the first contest, and then obviously in the second, Mike got himself disqualified because of the ear-biting incident. Then there was a Berta fight because he tried to break his arm in the first round. You can't shake that off, or can you?
What do you mean shake off what exactly?
His mental attitude. I mean, do you think he can change? I mean, he's looking ferocious at the age of 53, hitting the mitts. The mitts isn't hitting him back. And let's be honest, the mitts sequence made him look really good and explosive. So can he change his attitude? I mean, everyone can change the attitude. But hold on. Let me ask you this. You as Hayden Jones, how will you remember Mike Tyson? Before all of this nonsense and bullshit that's just come on social media about him fighting again, how will you remember Mike Tyson?
Oh, it's probably one of the most ferocious punches of all time. Someone that could just end it just like that. And I think coming back wouldn't tarnish that Mike Tyson, because I think it's just so far out that people wouldn't really, look at it like that. But I've had people, non-boxing circles, messaging me, hey, Mike Tyson's coming back. And that just speaks the volume as to how big an impact he made on a lot of people's life. He's probably right up there in the top 5 of the most influential sports people of all time, let alone just being a boxing person. So I don't think it'll tarnish him if like Cyril says, he comes back and does like exhibition fights and so forth. But it looks like everyone's sort of trying to get the dollars in now by calling him out. I mean, isn't he the money fight?
Well, you say it. I mean, Cyril, there was a thing with Lennox Lewis. I saw a tweet a couple of days ago, him saying, I've also been training, which basically means, hey, you want to have another fight? Let's go. What is your take on all these ex-heavyweights and ex-champions and ex-wannabes, I guess? I mean, there's talk of him fighting Sonny Boy Williams. I mean, come on, it's just such bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's total bullshit. Yes, they've been, look, more often than not, we see fighters trying to make a comeback and it never ends well. It hardly ever works out. I mean, I know George Foreman for 10 years after he retired and he came back and eventually became champion. But that's the exception rather than the norm. I don't see Mike Tyson getting anywhere close to the top. I don't see him beating a decent journeyman. So I'd rather not see that. I'd rather, if he's going to do a couple of exhibition fights with Holyfield, then that's fine. But not the big time.
Okay, I want to ask you, Hayden, Cyril talks about an exhibition fight with Evander Holyfield. How serious do you think that exhibition would be?
No, I don't think it would be any more than 3 rounds, would it? I mean, I think the guys...
Hold on. No. What I'm saying to you is the seriousness of the two of them getting in the ring again. How serious would that be?
I think it would be quite serious. To be honest with you, you put 2 guys like in the ring. I mean, although they are chilled and they like pundits and they talk on podcasts nowadays, like they're so chilled. And
they're friends. And they legitimately are friends now.
They did become friends. In fact, Mike Tyson actually had Evander Holyfield on his podcast, thing with Tyson where he smokes his, joints and so forth. So like to see them getting in that space and like talking intellectually kind of makes you think that maybe they wouldn't, but I still think the animal inside both of them is there.
I also think the competitive edge, Cyril. I don't think they would be nice to one another if they ever do get in the ring and have an exhibition.
Look, you don't get to that level of in any sport. You don't get to the top without being competitive, and that competitiveness stays in you. So I think they'll be competitive, even if it starts off in a friendly manner. It's going to be competitive.
And bless you, that was my son sneezing. Hayden, I want to ask you something. You've seen a lot of these ex-champions crawl out of the woodwork. We saw closer to home a trainer come promoter talking about ex-heavyweight champion also trying to be in the Tyson exhibition sweepstakes. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, I don't think that's the appropriate fight for Mike Tyson. I think the whole point of him coming back is to fight a legendary status fighter. And that wouldn't be anyone from South Africa, to be honest with you, that fought Mike Tyson. When you're talking
I want you to be honest with me. I would expect nothing less from you. Cyril, let me ask you, do you, when Tyson comes out and he says he wants to do exhibitions now to raise money for charity, when these ex-champions are coming out saying they want to fight Tyson, are they expecting some sort of massive financial fee for this, or what would you think it is?
It's prize fighting. It's prize fighting.
No, it's an exhibition. Tyson wants to do exhibitions for charity, he initially said. So I'm saying
Tyson might be saying he wants to do it for charity, but if you look at all these people that are throwing offers at him, they want money. They're trying to get paid. They're trying to make money out of this. So I think it's beyond charity. He might have good intentions with the whole idea, but people are throwing money around.
Hayden's smirking because he obviously finds this amusing. But, let's talk about Shannon Briggs fighting Tyson. There was fake news and obviously a fake tweet going around that there was a large sum of money being offered in the bare knuckle ring or cage, whatever you want to call it, for them to fight. I mean, how would you think there would be, do you think money would entice Tyson to fight again competitively?
I don't think he's financially bad at the moment, though. He looks like he's pretty chilled in his lifestyle. I mean, looking at how he made his recoveries through talks and press.
In his book.
Yeah, in his book and the podcast now, he looks pretty good. I don't think he has to come back, but I think he did allude on the one episode that he wouldn't mind getting back. I think it was a Tyson Fury one where Tyson Fury was on with him, and then they were talking about potential fights between generations and stuff, and there's something burning inside of him that says you can't get rid of it. And although he's chilled now, he's got the grey beard, he's rocking it well, he still wants to get in there. You see a lot of ex-boxers, they just can't shake it.
Do you think, Cyril, he regrets the way he went out with those 2 bad losses to Danny Williams and Kevin McBride?
I think there must be some sort of regret. I think you look at the lifestyle, the life he was living at the time. He wasn't really, his mind wasn't in boxing anymore. His heart wasn't in it. And I think now looking back, now that he's cleaned up his life, he's doing better. He's looking after himself a little better. he starts wondering, what if? And that's a dangerous thing to ask yourself. What if I was in a better state? What if,
Well, I think it's a dangerous thing to ask, especially at the age of 53, turning 54 this year. Boxing is not an old man sport. There have been exceptions over the years. There have always been exceptions. But when it comes to that kind of age, and also we also need to remember that Tyson had some really hard fights. Holyfield wasn't easy. Douglas was a hard fight. Lennox Lewis. Obviously I don't want to talk about the last two fights, Hayden, because Tyson admits that he was well past his best. But boxing is not a young man's sport. Like I said, there have always been exceptions. Hopkins went on until he was 50. He lived a very clean life, though. But we've often seen so many fighters that just don't know when to let go. And we have to talk about Roy Jones Jr. as well.
Yeah, all the fighters that just tend to go that extra few years beyond what they're supposed to end up tarnishing their career to a certain extent, particularly around the sort of generations that are growing up during that particular period of time. And I think that it's important to note that not everyone remembers the boxers in their greatest period. Some of them remember, for example, current day stars beating up on the older stars, thinking, why the hell did these guys stay in the sport so long? Because they've just destroyed their name people will not sometimes talk about these guys going down. Like when you see a legend getting knocked out late in their career, it's terrible.
Let's talk about Floyd Mayweather. There was talk about him last week and the week before, him coming out of retirement to fight Adrian Broner. We also saw Broner 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. I don't know if he was intoxicated or what, saying that he wanted $8 million to get back in the ring. Cyril, I saw something on social media that Floyd's quoted as saying he's not coming out of retirement to fight boxers again. If he does come out, it'll be charity or exhibitions, rather, like he did against Conor McGregor, etc., to earn a lot of money. Your thoughts on Mayweather potentially fighting Adrian Broner?
I don't see it happening. I think one thing, I actually watched an interview where Floyd was interviewed by Ben Thompson of Fight Hype, and he said he doesn't want to come back. He doesn't want to end up like his uncle Roger, because Roger Mayweather was in a bad state before he passed away recently, and Floyd basically just said he's got all his faculties with him. He's okay. He's made a lot of money from the sport. So I think, the only way he comes back, he doesn't want to fight real fights. He doesn't want to fight real boxing. So if a chance to make a lot of money comes fighting against an MMA fighter in a boxing ring, then sure, you'll probably take it. But I don't see him fighting Broner.
Hayden, can we see Mayweather fighting Pacquiao? I mean, it's a plausible fight. Both of them in the 40s, both aren't what they used to be, I suppose. And it's obviously a lot more of an edge to it now. Pacquiao's riding a good wave and momentum. Floyd's last competitive fight was against Berto when he called it a day. I can't really count the exhibition or the Conor McGregor as boxing fights, even though one was on the record. Can we believe Mayweather? Can we believe that he's going to stay in retirement and never box again? Because personally, I don't think I can believe him.
I've never believed Mayweather when he speaks about retirements and these sort of things, because he always pulls up one. He always does something unthinkable and comes back. But I think he seems pretty set on 50-0. It sounds very good for him. I don't think 51-0 rings the same way that 50-0 would ring, and I think that's why we might not see that Pacquiao fight. I don't think we're all dying to see it either. But I mean, if we do see it, we had our say the other nights who we all thought would win. I think I was the only one that thought Mayweather was going to win that fight, just based on how it is with his age and the way he maintains his life. But in saying that, I wouldn't want to see the fight anyway.
It just depends how many zeros on that check. Talking about unthinkable things and talking about like random things, guys, what's going on in the world of Twitter? You got MMA fighters talking shit about boxers and boxers talking shit about MMA fighters. You got guys challenging each other. You got guys coming out of retirement. What's going on, Hayden? Has quarantine just done this to people? COVID-19 just driven us mad? That we're just talking out of turn, that we're going to Twitter and we're talking the biggest load of garbage, challenging this person and that person. When right now, we can't even fight. We can't even get to a boxing gym and train. What's going on in the world? You tell me.
I think that people are the bravest when they know that nothing can actually happen. They just basically... They are basically armchair supporters saying, "Oh, I'd love to take that fight as soon as coronavirus lockdown comes." No, I was just they're just bringing themselves relevant again. I think the craziest one I saw recently was, I think, Layla Ali calling out Clarissa Shields. after like 13 years of not boxing. And I thought that's just what no one wants to see.
Yeah, we've actually seen interviews of her being interviewed in studios and stuff where she said she'll knock her out and stuff. That was also crazy. But Cyril, your opinion on people are just inappropriate. I'm finding people just highly inappropriate on Instagram, social media. I mean, you name it, Twitter. What's going on with these guys? Do you think they just need to get back to some sort of stability and normalize normality in society? What's going on?
Yeah, that's what it is. I think people have got too much time now. When you've got too much time on your hands, the mind starts to wander. You start thinking all kinds of crazy things. And it's just, I mean, I'm still right.
Is it almost like having Usyk as pound for pound number one?
Yeah, certain Cape Townians think Usyk is number one. So.
Yeah, about that, Cyril and Hayden, I heard you guys come under a little bit of fire from our other partner in crime in Cape Town, who we actually miss. Hopefully, will be back on the show soon. Devin, the shit stirrer, Kara, we miss you, brother. I just think, Hayden, you've got a point where guys are getting very brave. Guys are getting very brave, and they really are talking out of turn. Like Ryan Garcia, who we think is a great marketing job and he can fight, he's good looking. He's just acting like a bit of a twit on social media at the moment. Do you agree with that? Because that's the impression I'm getting. Hayden, do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, he is, and you got to look at who he's hanging out with. So he hangs out with the likes of Logan Paul, the YouTuber, and those sort of guys that just do crazy shit for no reason. Like they just do it to get views and likes and that sort of thing. Basically, just trying to improve their image. It's the world we live in today. I mean, you're not going to get a kid that's not going to try to do that. I mean, unless he has absolutely no boxing ability, which Ryan Garcia happens to have some boxing ability.
Do you think this kind of behavior will tarnish his image going forward, Cyril, or do you think he just, he's a young kid who's got a massive fan base? He just reminds me so much of the Golden Boy, his promoter, when Oscar was coming up. Then in those days, there was no social media. I mean, Oscar would have broken records. He could really fight. Who do you think, actually, while we're speaking on that note, who do you think Ryan Garcia should fight next? Because he's been calling out, I'm surprised he hasn't called out you two yet or Devin Curra, but who do you think he should fight next? Because I know the Linares fight's probably there when COVID-19 is over, but he's talking about Abnormares, he's talking about Davis, he's talking about UFC fighter. I mean, is this COVID-19 getting to him as well?
Yeah, I think it's getting to him. But speaking on whether he'd be forgiven or not, boxing is forgiven worse. Boxing is forgiven a lot worse. True. So yeah, he'll be fine. I think I would love to see him fighting Devin Haney. That's the fight I would really, really want to see. I would Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney. Of course, Linares would also be a good one, but Devin Haney definitely would be.
Devin Haney also coming out with some inappropriate comments a few weeks back or a couple of months ago, Hayden. I mean, just uncalled for. There's no place in racism for boxing. Your opinion, I know he's apologized, but your opinion on again, speaking out of turn, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think initially, the comments were taken on face value. I think I didn't actually watch the interview either. I just saw the caption of the actual thing that he said. I don't know if it was taken a little bit out of context, but I know that he did apologize because those words sort of, they not today. Maybe when Bernardo Hopkins said it, you could have got away with it. But in today's day and age where social media, I mean, look at the pandemic we're currently in. I mean, 10 years ago, this would never have happened. We would have passed it on like a flu.
We're talking about Tyson. We think he should stay retired. I think we're going to retire the show tonight. Hayden, your last comment for the viewers and boxing fans.
If Tyson's going to fight, it has to be Evander Holyfield.
Cyril, your last point and comment for the show.
I just want to see Mike Tyson make another video game. That's all I want. I don't want to see him back in the ring.
Gentlemen, thanks. It's been a pleasure. To all the boxing fans and public who've tuned in and watched the show, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you again. Hopefully, Devin, the shitstirrer, will be back with us very soon. For all of us here on the Boxing Lockdown, powered by SA Boxing Talk, stay safe, stay home, and enjoy level 4 until we get to level 3.